Calories versus hormones. Why eating less, moving more, backfires after 40. You've been told for decades, if you just eat less and move more, the fat will come off. Or, all you need to lose weight is a calorie deficit. And maybe that used to work. In your 20s, here. Oh no, it's gone off the mountain. And maybe that used to work. In your 20s, you could skip lunch and you'd have lost 3 pounds or half a dress size by Friday. Now you eat like a bird, you walk every day, and the only thing shrinking is your patience. Here's the truth. If you're over 40 and you're still clinging to the calorie counting myth, it's time to drop the tracker and start instead listening to your body and your hormones. Because fat loss after 40 isn't about maths, it's about metabolism. I'm Emma Voysey and I help middle-aged people in midlife, lose weight and regain health. And actually that's any stage of midlife. And I think midlife goes from about 40, the 40-year-olds won't like that, but starts about 40 and it goes on until about 75. Then you get the old age bit, which if you've done that middle bit right, the old age bit should be a breeze. See, the mainstream diet advice is still stuck in the 1980s, despite all the scientific evidence which proves otherwise. Doctors, governments and the general public apparently take around 20 years to change direction on a mainstream opinion. And I'd argue that it takes even longer than that because the 1980s were, well, they were about 40 years ago now, weren't they? So, oh gosh, you found it. You're amazing. Went right off the cliff and he found his ball. He went round. Back years ago when we feared fat, we chugged the Diet Cokes, we worshipped the Thigh Master and Jane Fonda. When I talk to my clients who were young in the 60s, so 20 years before that, they blame Twiggy for this obsession that we all have with being thin and being skinny. Poor Twiggy. Let's definitely not demonise Twiggy. She was just the poster girl for a culture that hadn't yet realised that skinny doesn't mean healthy. And that muscle, not dieting, is what actually saves us as we age. And actually, if you go back even further, I've just been reading How Sugar Corrupted the World by Professor James Walvin, or Valvin. Sorry, James, I don't know exactly how we pronounce your name. And he points out that it was considered socially and morally abhorrent as long ago as the early 1900s to be fat, to be overweight, which I suppose makes sense, biologically speaking, because humans are attracted to or drawn to what looks like optimal health. It's a breeding thing, isn't it? So from an evolutionary standpoint, someone who's morbidly obese or just a bit overweight is less likely to be able to conceive children easily and bear healthy babies. So that aversion is likely rooted in instinct, survival instinct. So even if the culture it twisted it into shame and punishment, which it did, which has always been the way, instead of understanding and compassion. But you see, the calories in, calories out myth, model, assumes that your body is just a basic machine, like a toaster or a dishwasher. Input equals output. But you're not a machine. You're a dynamic hormonal system, one that shifts with age and stress and sleep and sex hormones and the seasons and light. Light is really, especially light exposure, really, really important. Where's your ball then? And once you hit perimenopause or andropause, the old rules just stop working. Let's start here. So number one, your metabolism slows as you age, but it's not just because of age, and it doesn't actually slow. You're born with your metabolism ticking over at whatever speed it operates in your body, and it stays at the same speed throughout your life. But this understanding, this perception that it slows is an easy one for us to get hold of. So you become more insulin resistant. Your cortisol rises, the stress hormone, your muscle mass shrinks, and muscle is your metabolic engine. The real reason it feels harder to lose fat, even if you're doing all the right things. Number two, chronic calorie restriction backfires horribly. Starve yourself for long enough and your body hits the brakes. Your thyroid downshifts. And how many people do I speak to who have thyroid issues? I mean, it's just pandemic, but if I can say that without causing anybody post-traumatic stress disorder. Your thyroid downshifts, your leptin drops, and you feel hungry. And ghrelin rises, you feel hungrier. Cortisol spikes, your body starts hoarding fat like it's preparing for a holocaust. And even if you're eating clean, salads, smoothies, chia bowls, if you're not eating enough, or you're not eating in sync with your hormones, in alignment with your hormones, then you're just stalling your fat loss. And for stalling, read stopping it dead in its tracks. So, number 3, now you're burning fewer calories at rest and fewer when you're exercising. Your basal metabolic rate, which is your BMI, go that way. Your basal metabolic rate, your BMI, is mostly set by your muscle mass, your thyroid hormones, and your nutrient status. Oh, sun's coming up. And if you've lost muscle and your thyroid's sluggish, you could be stuck burning 1,200 calories a day, eating 1,300 and wondering why you're cold and constipated and ready to murder your spouse. Number 4, exercise doesn't burn as much as you think. That 45-minute spin class that almost killed you usually burns around 300 calories. And those 2 chocolate biscuits barely even touch the sides. That's, again, you guessed it, about 300 calories. And if you're already stressed, you're inflamed, or you're fasting too hard, that workout could raise your cortisol even further, even higher, making it even harder to build muscle or burn fat. And here's how I know this, because this used to be me. In my 20s, I could skip the lunch and the weight would melt off. In my 40s, I skipped meals, I tracked every bite, and I still couldn't shift the belly fat. It just increased. I'd become a fat storing success story. In addition to having now in my 40s gut issues, aches and pains everywhere, a lot less energy than I used to have. And I was a furniture restorer. I ran my own business and I was on my feet literally all day, 16-hour days. I worked really, really hard at it. I was always sanding something or stripping something. And I was also riding my horse, and I cycled to the farm every day where I had my workshop and the horse up really big steep hills. I was just gaining. And what changed? What had changed for me? So it was my hormones, my sleep, my muscle mass. And then I hit 50 and I stopped dieting and I started properly learning how to heal myself, and everything changed. So now I coach people through this whole transformation every day. But not with fads and celery juice and smoothies and protein bars, with science and real food and sustainable habit shifts. Come on, come on, come on. There you go, ready. Part 2, hormones that rule your midlife metabolism. Here are the actual bosses of fat loss over 40. You've got your insulin, the fat storage hormone. When insulin is high, fat burning is off. It's like a switch, spiking it all day with snacks and juice and oat milk lattes and fruit. That's a one-way ticket to belly fat, brain fog and cravings. And the worst part, you don't even have to be diabetic to be insulin resistant. I've never been diabetic, but I was very, very insulin resistant. In fact, it often starts 10 to 15 years before it's even diagnosed, in the form of fatigue, mood swings, or the old baddie, that stubborn weight gain. Cortisol, your stress hormone. Cortisol's not your enemy, but chronic stress really, really is, whether it's work or bad sleep or overtraining or scrolling on your phone first thing in the morning. And also last thing at night, topping and tailing your day with phone scrolling, it all adds up. It all causes stress. High cortisol breaks down muscle mass. Think about that. It raises your blood sugar and it stores fat, especially round the middle. That's visceral fat. That's the toxic kind. That's the kind that suffocates your organs. If you've never looked at a picture of what visceral fat looks like, Google it, have a look and see how that disgusting yellow, thick fat literally cloaks your organs, prevents them from working. It suffocates them. All of it adds up. Morning light, on the other hand, so lucky to be out here on this absolutely glorious morning in Andorra with Mikey's enjoying the view as well. Morning light and salt and protein and a calm start to the day, that can really help. Eating your breakfast early and then getting outside, even if it's just for 10 minutes, just get outside and move yourself. Layer up these habits. Get the morning light, eat your breakfast, get the morning light, get outside, move yourself, use up the glycogen from the food that you've just eaten so it doesn't get stored as fat. Then you can tap into your fat stores faster. But if you're relying on black coffee and cortisol to power through a fast until noon, then it's time for a big rethink. Leptin and ghrelin, the hunger regulators. So leptin tells your brain, we're full. Ghrelin, on the other hand, says, feed me now, like Audrey 2 in the giant man-eating plant in the Little Shop of Horrors. My best Audrey 2 impression, feed me, Seymour. It's not very good, I know, sorry about that. Sleep deprivation, ultra-processed food, and erratic meal timings, they will destroy this feedback loop. And once ghrelin is dysregulated, you're going to feel hungry all the time, even if you have just eaten. There's the helicopter. And if you're one of the ones who's always hungry, even after meals, or you're constantly thinking about food, you can't switch off the food noise, like I used to be all my life, for my entire life, that means your leptin and your ghrelin are probably way out of sync. And we've got the thyroid hormones. They are your metabolic throttle. The thyroid controls everything from your mood right down to your bowel movements. It's like your internal thermostat. So if your T3 is low or your reverse T3 is high or you're not converting properly from T4 to T3, and if you know nothing about the thyroid, I could have just been speaking in Mandarin. Here's the slightly slower, easier version. So T3 is the active thyroid hormone. That's what keeps your metabolism humming, keeps it ticking over. T4, on the other hand, that's the storage form of thyroid hormone. So your body has to convert T4 into T3 to actually be able to use it. And if that conversion is sluggish, or if it gets turned into the wrong form, which is called reverse T3, then that means your engine is idling. You're going to feel tired and cold and puffy and moody and stuck, and your fat loss is going to stall. And no, TSH alone doesn't tell the full story. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's the signal that the brain sends to your thyroid, which is here in your neck, telling it to get to work to produce more hormones. So you've got estrogen and testosterone, the age shifters. So midlife means change for both men and women. Honey, go on then. Because estrogen drops, testosterone declines, and that affects everything. That affects your muscle mass, your bone density, your mood, your cravings, libido, and it helps you to store fat. And in women, that starts piling around around the belly instead of just in the hips. And in men, you get that dad bod, beer belly, that creeps in. Even if you're following the same habits, your old tricks, skipping meals, doing the cardio, eating low fat, that all stops working because your hormonal landscape has completely changed. And that brings us on to part 3. What does actually work after 40? What works? I know, you want solutions, not more problems. Number one thing to do, I want you to focus more on food quality over quantity, because fat loss is a hormonal process, not a mathematical one. You're going to ditch the diet mindset. That's your first job. And for a lot of us who've suffered with food-related behavioural problems for many, many years, many decades, this can be quite a big ask. Prioritise your protein. I've said it and said it and said it. When I started prioritising protein, everything changed for me. And it was a massive, massive change. So prioritise protein. Include the natural fats. Eat the foods that your grandmother would have recognised. Cut out the fake foods, the low-fat yogurts, the 100-calorie snack packs, the protein bars, because it's not about less, it's about better. Stop eating things that aren't real food, like protein powders. Just eat real protein. Number 2, front load your meals. What do I mean by that? I mean, eat more earlier in the day when your body can handle it best. Your insulin sensitivity is high in the morning, highest when you wake up. Eating your biggest meal at 8 p.m. when you're scrolling Netflix, that's an absolute blood sugar disaster by comparison, by contrast. And try and finish your dinner by 6 or 7 in the evening. Even better, 4 or 5 in the evening. Even better, like I do, finish it about 3 in the afternoon. Think of it as fueling your day, not padding your sleep. You need to go to bed on an empty stomach. That way, your sleep is going to be better quality too. And as we know, good sleep, that underpins everything. So number 3, ditch the snacks. I know, nobody wants to hear this, but every single snack that you eat is going to spike your insulin, even the healthy ones, even the fruit, even all of them. If you're constantly grazing, your body never dips into its stored fat. You have to give it a chance. And 3 solid meals a day, spaced out, is plenty. And some experts, some metabolic experts like Dr. Annette Bosworth, she says that 2 meals a day is absolutely plenty for any adult. Not if you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding or you've got, health issues, but for a healthy adult, 2 meals a day is plenty. And yes, that includes ditching the oat milk flat whites and the protein bars just in case. Don't need any of that stuff. And next one, number 4, sleep like it's your job. One of my favourite expressions. Sleep is where the magic happens. It's not going to be magic if I fall down this very rocky ravine. So let me just get through this bit here. This is where that's a bit better. It was very bright up there. Now the sun's come up fully. So when you sleep, you repair, you reset your hormones, and you burn fat, most importantly. One bad night of sleep will raise ghrelin, and it will lower your leptin, and it will increase your insulin resistance, and it will tank your willpower. Means that next day won't be a good day. So if fat loss is your goal, you want a dark room, an early night, and a proper wind down routine. And that, without question, has to be one of your non-negotiables. Sleep like it's your job. Number 5, build and protect muscle. Muscle is your metabolic insurance policy. It burns more calories than fat, it stabilizes your blood sugar, and it protects your bones, and it slows your aging. What's not to like? And you can build it at any age. I've recently seen a flood in these Instagram reels of people's aged relatives. Someone's 93-year-old grandmother, she was on a walking frame. I mean, she was properly, old, 93. And she started weight training. And in the last scene of this little short that I watched on Instagram, the last scene, she was about to deadlift her first 30 kilos. I don't think I can deadlift 30 kilos. I mean, that is just incredible, isn't it? And it just shows you that you can use resistance training and you can build muscle at any age. The body and muscle knows no age. Isn't that amazing? So that means resistance training, body weight, dumbbells, bands, even yoga. I mean, yes, even yoga. Yoga is resistance training because you're resisting against your own body weight. Body weight just means things like press-ups, things like squats, where you're using your own body weight as the resistance. You have to lift because you have to build muscle because of all those reasons I've just said, because it burns more calories than fat, it protects your bones, it slows aging, and it even stabilizes your blood sugar. And in order to do all that, you have to eat protein because protein supports muscle growth. We are made of protein. That's why we need protein to build our muscles. Skinny is not the goal. Strong, on the other hand, definitely is. There's something he likes to going rolling just down there. I think it's something that died some time ago. And I hope the little sod hasn't gone down there to do that now, because I haven't got time to give him a bath this morning because I've got another meeting to go to. Come on. Now, I know all this because I've lived it. I've done the low fat, I've done the under eating, I've done the overtraining, really, really overtrained. And it just made me tired and wired and stuck. And it ruined my gut in the process. And it made me really unhappy. And being fat, for me, was super, super depressing. And just eating a rubbish diet will make you depressed as well. So once I switched to a hormone-focused approach, the fat came off, my energy came back, my brain switched back on. Now I coach others through that same transformation using real food, not fake hacks. This isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. And it's about education and listening to your body's signals. So if this is hitting home, and I know it is, please grab my free guide. There's a link down in the description. Calories versus hormones. 5 steps to reset your metabolism after 40. There's a link down in the description. And if you're ready to go all in, my maximum fat loss course is where the real change happens. There's no points, there's no tracking, there's just deep metabolic reset and community and coaching and result. There's a link to my website in the description. Look at this house behind me, it's really, really going on up. Been away for 2 weeks and they've got a whole nother floor on it. It's going to be amazing. Look at the view that they're going to have from their house. Incredible. So to sum up, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not bad at dieting. You're just following rules that were never made for a midlife body. So you need to ditch the maths, learn the metabolic truth and give your hormones the respect that they really deserve. Let's burn fat smarter, not harder. Come on. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to my channel. I hit 50,000 subscribers a few days ago, which was amazing and incredible. When you subscribe, it really helps me to bring you more videos like this. And it means that the algorithm puts my content out to more people. So thank you if you subscribed already. And if you didn't, press that button down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like to watch one of these 2 next. Until next time, thank you again. Cheerio. And remember, always nourish, don't punish. Till next time. Bye.